in one device, we get the Copyright Act forbids us from doing so.
Also, one important thing is now the most, well, use the word viral, but the most successful videos, those which are viewed the most, are usually things people find and they can very easily send it to a friend or send it to several friends. And of course, now we have things like Twitter and Identical where people can send it to like 1,000 friends all at once. And these people in turn will send it if they like the video. And this actually shows you the power of sharing if you want to get exposure for things. And if you imagine this power to share being taken away, what impact would it have? I found this very, very, very famous and very nice video, which I recommend. It's called Everything is a Remix. And that's a 3-part series. So far, 2 parts have been released. And it's a project that tries to show you, first of all, that music is basically all inspired by something else. And they give excellent examples where they take the most famous artists and go back and show how each person was basically copying everyone else. And basically all the music is either consciously or not consciously. People are actually copying somebody else's work. Some people with credit, some people without credit. Some people change a few things. Some people change absolutely nothing, but nobody knows that. And it basically goes into films in the second parts. And this video, which makes extensive use of fair use, just taking a few seconds from each movie to make the point, and of course that's criticism which should be covered by fair use doctrine, was removed from YouTube. And I only found this out today, and I shared it with a few people who had really liked the video. I showed them, look, this person complains that YouTube removed his video. He had to put it on Vimeo. Is it pronounced Vimeo or?
Yeah, Vimeo. Yeah.
Because YouTube would reject this video, which took him like 3 months to make, of really, really hard work to make. And there was nothing there which was copyright infringing. I mean, the whole thing was a very classic example of fair use to make the point without showing you a few seconds of this and that. It cannot show you that these people are copying, and I can very much see why they would want this removed, because he shows that films are like Kill Bill, for example, use the exact same templates of previous films, actually taking them and just copying and putting new people inside. You know, same films, same whistle, same words, even the script of what they say. They just take very old films and they just reproduce the same thing over and over again. And the reason I mention this is because here you have this person who wants to share something about the notion of sharing that's really widespread in films. People use things they use things all the time, and they copy things, and he's being censored using copyright law unlawfully like that.
Well, I mean, Roy already mentioned it very quickly, so all I'll say is to anybody who doubts the power of sharing or doubts that people do want to share, YouTube is a very simple example, and I think we can all agree that YouTube has been hideously popular. If you don't mind, what we'll do, because I think Roy's topic will go on in the discussion for quite a few minutes, so I'll just cover the other few little bits I wanted to mention. We covered ACS law, obviously copyright, so that'll be hopefully tomorrow. There'll be some more news on that. Very quick mention about a very good piece of Linux software which I named a few shows ago. I can't remember the number now. And it was as a fan of the game Elite 2. I'm sure a lot of you have played Elite 2 Frontier on a 16-bit machine. Absolutely fantastic game. Arguably, it was what set Grand Theft Auto and those type of sandbox games off on their route. It was a free roaming space trading piracy in the shooting sense of the word type space simulator. And it's being remade for Linux with a load of very impressive looking visuals. Now it's free and open source. It's called Pioneer. It's currently in Alpha 8. And I'll give the show notes the treatment with the links. I've seen the trailer for it. I've seen the YouTube video that's been made, and it's looking very, very impressive. If you've been a fan of the original, you'll immediately see all the improvements that you wanted to see straight away. Facilities to land on asteroids, and it's all looking rather lovely. So that's coming along very nicely. I'm in two minds whether to get involved and start having a look at it properly until it gets into a later version, because I found with a lot of open source games, if you take them on too early and have a look and have a play, by the time it actually gets to a merchantable release, if for want of a better word, it's going to be you're going to be played it to death, and you're going to go over the same bits quite a few times. So I might certainly just leave it and just keep an eye on the visuals, but it's looking really, really good. It's obviously a lot of hard work's been put into it. The dashboard bears a striking resemblance to the original Elite 2, which was a classic by a coder, David Braben. Fantastic coder, decent bloke. So the link will be on the show notes. You can have a look yourself, and please support the project, because I was a big fan of Elite 2, and I hope quite a few other people were as well. So try and see if we can get on board and give them a hand. Staying on the subject of copyright, going back to the subject of copyright, we were mentioning ACS law. Arguably, the whole copyright issue was brought into the main news and into the mainstream, for want of a better word, by a group called Anonymous. And I believe Roy is going to speak about a piece of news which just occurred recently involving that group. Roy, I'll pass the microphone over to you. But before I do, I'd just like to apologise to everybody listening. I'm going to be going downstairs in a second. I've been called by my wife. So I'm going to be down for about 5 minutes while Roy starts off the subject. I've read the articles that hopefully Roy's going to be reading about and talking about. So when I come back upstairs in 5 minutes' time, I'll be fully on form and able to make my opinions. Roy, it's over to you.
Yeah, well, one of the issues we've been discussing kind of offline for a while now was the infiltration of certain policemen into groups and trying to embed themselves into the groups and trying to gather some intelligence, names of people, activities, and trying to predict what they do. One of the things that made the news quite a lot in January was the Guardian, or at least the Guardian among small papers, talking about a person who was going into environmental groups and trying to gather intelligence on people who were involved in these groups. These people were obviously very angry when they found out that this person had spent about 9 years inside their group, gathering intelligence and trying to find out when they had protests to do. The item which was mentioned just now by Tim spoke about the Anonymous group having a person who worked apparently kind of privately. It's very common to do it as a sort of private company, trying to sell information about the Anonymous group. So, as people probably know, the Anonymous group was doing denial of service attacks in support of all kinds of causes. Most notably, first it was against the Church of Scientology. At some stage, they proceeded to trying to protest against all these copyright cartels and these lawyers who assault people based on the suspicion they may have shared some files. And then it was WikiLeaks, and every company which was trying to disown WikiLeaks or causing harm to WikiLeaks, for example, by denying the ability to pay WikiLeaks, and of course companies like MasterCard and Visa, as soon as they don't support payments, it's really hard to make a payment through any means of international, when you talk about international transfers of money, it usually has to go through these companies. So anyway, Anonymous was trying to protest against these companies, and recently there were some arrests, and they were trying to find out who's actually spearheading these attacks. And one person had infiltrated the Anonymous group and got some information about people who are involved in it. We don't really know if the information is correct and precise. What we do know is that at least one rather famous musician may have been among those people who actually created the movement. At least that's what's been claimed by at least one source. And this actually led to lots of discussions now about what to do when a person infiltrates a group or tries to spy on a group. We basically have been covering this. I personally have been covering this in my site for a while because it's a very interesting development, especially considering the fact it's a threat to democracy when you have groups that are supposed to express themselves in some ways or organize protests, and this right that they have is being stifled by people who in some way intimidate them, in some sense trying to collect some evidence of them, trying to get some sort of a confession or trying to get details of a person to later be treated by someone else. And that's a really, really troubling thing for all sorts of groups which are being seen as subversive. And I just wonder if Gordon's still on the line, if he has.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, I mean, have you heard about any of these intrusions into groups like that?
Not really. I mean, I would be very surprised if the companies that they're acting against and the various corporate interests, if people are protesting, for example, against big oil interests, I'd be frankly astonished if companies like BP and Exxon and all that weren't doing that type of stuff. They weren't hiring people to